Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome indeed. My name is Ali Board, and I am broadcasting to you from my studio down here on the south coast of the UK in Dorset. Now, today's broadcast is a special one. You might find yourself here because you know me professionally. You might find yourself here because you know me personally. And you might find yourself here because this broadcast has been recommended to you. However you find yourself here, thank you very much for joining me, and you are all astonishingly welcome. Now, today is the 25th of December 2023, and some of you will be celebrating Christmas with your family and friends. Some of you will be celebrating Christmas in a different way, maybe to how you have done before. Some of you won't be celebrating Christmas at all, but are here to enjoy a bit of an arty demonstration and to spend some time with some like-minded people as part of my artistic community. No matter why you are here, whether you are watching me live or on catch-up, thank you very much. Join in the fun or just sit back and watch. However you want to take part is entirely up to you. Now, I have some things to tell you, because if you are watching live, then you're part of a very unique community this morning, and you can take part, or like I said, you can just sit there and enjoy the chat. If you do like to take part and you do like to have a word with me, you may be familiar with the YouTube chat. This broadcast is going out live on YouTube. You can watch the chat back on catch up as well. So I have sorted it out so that if you are watching at a later time, you can still see what everyone was saying on the YouTube channel. Now, because this is live, and I don't do this with my normal broadcast, I do want to say hello to everybody who's in the room. So if you can navigate to that chat, I will give you a shout out as and when I see you pop up. So I want to say good morning to Lou and to Jilly and to Rosie and to Rosemary and to Barbara and to Julia, Teresa, the lovely Dee, Joe, Val, Carol, and I'm sure there are more of you there in the chat as well. In fact, I know there are. I can see your virtual faces popping up. Good morning, Lindsay. The reason that I want to give you all a big shout out is because you have taken the time to kind of join in, and maybe this is a bit of a distraction for you this morning. Maybe you just fancy starting Christmas off with something creative. That's good. Good morning, Petra. And I know as well that there are people all over the world tuning in. And so I'm saying good morning because I'm here in the UK, but you might have afternoon, evening. Good morning, Thyra. Or you might be somewhere completely different. Now, what I want to do is share an interesting project with you. Not only that you can have a go with at home, but you can actually take part in too. Bit of a difference. I've done this broadcast for the last 3 years. It started in lockdown, but this time I want you to take part if you feel so inclined. Good morning, Steph. You're very welcome. So I'm going to very quickly take you over to my website because I want to show you a few bits and pieces, including where you can find the resources today and how you can take part in this project. So let's pop over to my website. Before we do that, it would be a good idea to tell you where my website was, wouldn't it? Too many things to remember this morning. So here is my website, www.learningtopaint.co.uk. And the bit that I want you to look at is the Christmas Day broadcast. Good morning. Oh, I've got so many good mornings. Good morning, Hazel. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Margaret. Kath. She's saying thank you for the join here link. You're very welcome. And Sheena, good morning to you too. So many of you in the room. I feel very honoured indeed. Now, when you go over to the website, what I'll do is I'll show you the page and then I'll show you how to get to it. Okay, so here is the page that you are looking for. I've just got to find it myself. And you reach it by going to the menu. Now, the menu might look a little bit different on your device. The menu might be a couple of lines in the top right hand corner, or it might say menu. It varies from device to device. But when you go to the menu, you'll see there's a little thing that says Learning to Paint. And when you tap on that, another menu will pop up. and you'll see all sorts of information, but you want the one that says Christmas Day broadcast, and you will end up on this page. And you may have already visited this page. That may be how you found me. But here is the equipment list. Now, I'll be sharing a project with you, and I will show you that project in just a second. Here is the equipment. Now, I've kept the equipment really, really simple because I want anybody to be able to take part in this. You don't need to be artistic or creative. I'm going to talk you through all those things, and I've tried to keep the equipment simple. So we've got felt tip pens, something to paint on, a bit of a brush, or you could have a cotton wool bud, kitchen roll, pot of water, pencil, ruler, a black pen, and then I've put there either a hairdryer or some patience. A hairdryer I have, patience I do not. Now here is the bit of information that you're going to need if you want to take part in the project. So I'm encouraging you to create a tiny little painting. Don't panic, because I'm going to talk you through that. And what I want to do is to gather in as many cards as I can, as many little miniature paintings as I can. And then if you send your painting to me, and there's the address, Artist Trading Project, care of Alison Seaboard, Down End Farm Studio, 3 Down End Farm, Bushes Road, Stowpane, Dorset. And don't forget to enclose a stamped self-addressed envelope. What I will then do is I will send you a card that someone else has given in, so we can have this lovely swap of paintings and be part of a fabulous artistic community. Now, don't panic. It's not about the quality of what you produce. It's about reaching out to somebody out there to say, hey, I'm creative too, and I'd like to share my work with you. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, you will see after this broadcast, you see there it says the recorded broadcast, you'll be able to watch it back again, just in case you get stuck. All right, so to remind you, that's going back to the beginning of my website, to going to the learning to paint part of the menu, and you'll find the Christmas Day broadcast. So you can relax for a minute, okay? You can relax for just a second, and you can catch up with all that bit of information later. I hope that made sense, but if it doesn't, contact me on social media, send me an email, and I will send you that information again. Now, what is an ATC? An ATC stands for an artist trading card. And the idea of it is that you create a tiny little painting, and we're going to do that together in just a second. And I chose this as a project because I thought, if you're a bit overwhelmed by being creative, or you haven't got much stuff, or you haven't got a lot of space, or maybe you know of somebody, or maybe it's you yourself who just can't sit at a desk for a long time or sit at a table and needs to have it on their lap, or maybe they don't have a lot of maneuverability and maybe they're in bed. This can be done on a tray, it can be done on a little lap table, any of those kind of things. So I've kept it nice and small and controllable. Now, lots of people, I can say, good morning, Kerry, are kind of saying that they're looking forward to this and they think it's a good idea. Great, get your paintings to me. And you'll get a beautiful work of art in return as well. Let's take you to that overhead camera, and I will share with you how you can put this together and what it is that you might think about doing. So we've got a bit of equipment here. And I have shortcut. I won't say cheated. We'll say shortcut. Good morning, Fran. Good morning, Trisha. Good morning to everybody. Who have I not said good morning to? Hazel. Don't think I've said good morning to you. If I haven't said good morning to you, I do apologise. I've kind of shortcut this because you will have all the time in the world. I don't want to take up too much of your time on this day. So I've done a few things ahead of time. Now, this is an ATC. This is not special, okay? This is a piece of watercolour paper, but equally you could have a bit of card, anything really. It really doesn't matter what you draw or paint on. It doesn't have to be something posh like this. It could be, if you're regular to painting, it could be some bit of watercolour paper that you don't use anymore. It could even be the back of an old painting. But hold that thought, because we'll get to that in just a second. What is sort of important is the size of it. And let me give you the sizes. So it's either, depends on whether you like imperial or metric. If you like imperial, it is 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Okay, so 2.5 by 3.5. If you prefer metric, It's 64 millimeters by 89 millimeters. I know that those seem very kind of arbitrary, but this is a long-running historical project, not designed by me, designed by another artist, that is done all over the world, and those were the sizes that were set. Now, if yours is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, don't panic, it's fine. As long as you, if you send it to me, make sure that it's sort of not too much bigger than it so that I can fit it in an envelope. That would be grand, okay? Because what will happen is that I will put yours in somebody else's stamped address envelope, and I will put somebody else's in your stamped address envelope. So we're just trying to keep it the same. Now I've got 3 bits here. That's because I cut 3 up because I was being optimistic about what we could cover today. But we're going to start with one that is nice and simple. So let's just have one piece here. And then I've got a few other bits and pieces around which you may or may not find around your house. You don't have to use these. If you've got posher equipment, you could use a set of watercolours. You could use coloured pencil. You could stitch it. You could collage it. You could... whatever you like, okay? Anything goes with this project, and it's really interesting to see what people come up with. Oh, excuse me. So I'm going to quickly take you through this equipment. I've got a paintbrush, but it doesn't have to be anything posh. It could equally be a cotton bud. It could equally be a makeup brush, anything like that. Pencil, that is a rubber. I know it doesn't look like a rubber if you're not used to art equipment, but it is a rubber. A waterproof pen. Now, it doesn't have to be waterproof, but it will make life easier if it is. But it doesn't, again, have to be a posh one. It could be a black biro if you wanted it to be, because that will actually do the job as well. But if you like doing a bit of journaling or art or craft or whatever it is, then you want a waterproof sketching pen. Mine's a 0.4, but it means nothing, okay? For the purposes of today, it was literally the first one I reached out to. And then here I have my felt tip pens. Now, these are Stabilo felt tip pens. You can see they've got just a normal colouring end. They don't have to be posh. What they do have to be is washable. Because if they are washable, what that means is we can use a little bit of water to blend them together in a second and make like a little watercolour painting out of them. So if you've got some cheap ones and they say washable on them, then that's grand. In actual fact, if I'm honest, the slightly cheaper ones work better for this. I've got a selection of colours here just because I have a selection of colours, but you can tailor your project to fit whatever it is you've got in materials or whatever it is you decide to paint, okay? Good morning, if I haven't said good morning to you already. There's a couple of people who have popped up without names, so my apologies if I don't name you, but the lovely person who has just tuned in from Oxfordshire, good morning to you. Now, this is not a special bit of equipment. This is a lip balm, but I'm going to use the lid for something in just a second. So that could be a little pot or an egg cup or something similar. I happen to have a lip balm on my desk, so that's what I'm going to be using. So shall we start with our first project? The first project I thought we could have a go at is a beautiful wreath on a door, because I thought, if you don't particularly celebrate Christmas, you could change the colours. It could be autumnal, it could be wintry, it could be spring-like, all those kinds of things. But the first thing we need to do is a little bit of drawing. Now, don't panic. This is the easiest drawing ever, okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to get the close-up video going so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is to draw some wood panels on a door with a pencil. And this is going to be super, super easy. Let's not have a line in the middle. Let's have a line that kind of goes off to one side, and we'll put a few broken marks into it so it looks like wood. So I've got one over there. Let's have one coming down. You could do these with a ruler. If you don't trust your hand as it is, you could absolutely do these with a ruler. So we'll get one in there, maybe put an extra one down there, coming across. Let's put a couple in this side. One coming down here. Oh, I'm going to knock my brush off if I'm not careful. And let's pop one more in. Now you'll see that my lines don't all join up. You could do a better door than this. You could draw a door, all sorts of things. Just go with your creative gut instinct, okay? And then let's put a little bit of kind of wood grain in to say that there's a bit of paneling. So I'm dragging my pencil down the surface to sort of simulate wood paneling. Don't worry, this isn't the end of the project. You're not going to give this to somebody. We're going to do something much more colourful with it in a ticket. All it has to, you could put more detail in it. It could have a few knots in it, all sorts of things. You have free reign with it. So let's pick that up because it's shining ever so slightly. So you can see a bit of texture going on there. And all I did was do that with a pencil. If you draw it and you don't like it, then just rub it out and start again. It's not a problem, okay? But when you are happy with it, let's go back to overhead. What you'll end up with is a nice kind of textured. You could do it in a coloured pencil or pen, all sorts of things. I'm doing the simplest version of it, just in case you have found yourself here at this broadcast and you're thinking, well, I can't do that, Ali. A pencil and a rubber and a few vertical lines and it will look like a door, I promise. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the wreath on here. Now, rather than worrying ourselves about getting a perfect circle, let's use something that we can do instead. Now, here's where my lip balm comes in. Okay, now this isn't I'm not going to draw around this. What I'm going to do is to use this as a kind of stamp. All right, so the first thing I need to do is decide what colour my wreath is going to be, and let's offer it up ever so slightly to just see where I want it. I think I want it sort of at the top, as if this was a door. Let's stick my circle up there. You could draw around it, of course, but I'm going to see if I can be a little bit cleverer than that. I'm going to take one of my felt tip pens, a dark green, but you could have brown, you could have any colour you want really. And I'm going to run my felt tip pen, even though it doesn't look like anything is coming out, I'm going to run it around the edge of this. So taking, and I'm sort of colouring in the lip of it. My pen goes off the edge ever so slightly on occasion, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. And we don't need it to cover. Let's get it in the close-up camera so you can see there's just a little bit of it on there. You have to be a touch quick with this because you don't want it to dry. But if I then pop this down, let's stick my pen to one side. If I pop this down on my surface, there, and I give it a twist, what I should get is a nice circle all ready for my wreath, okay? And if I take my brush, pop it in some water, let's just move my water pot, pop it in some water so it's just kind of damp. You don't want it soaking with water. And then I run my brush up to that line. Can you see how it starts to dissolve the pen? And you get a beautifully perfect circle without having to worry about drawing a beautifully perfect circle. So there is the start of my wreath. What I'm going to have to do is dry that off a little bit before I go on to the next stage. You could, of course, you could do several of these if you want to. You could send me lots. You don't have to just send me one ATC. You could send me more than one ATC so that I have lots to send out to other people. Let's dry this. There we go. I think that's fine. And the heat has just bent my ATC a little bit. Excuse me. Oh dear. So I'm bending it back straight. I'm just going to take a quick slurp of drink. That's better. Voice back again. Now what we're going to do is to decorate it. Now, like I said, you could have autumnal colours if you wanted to. And I think what I will do is I'll switch between a few greens. Let's put the lid back on that. And maybe the odd brown bit as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some leaf shapes, but we're going to make them very, very simple. Let's go back to close up and you can see what I'm doing. So we're going to just do some really simple shapes. And they don't have to be leaf shape. They could be if you wanted them to be. I kind of prefer a scribble on mine, but if you like a bit more order in your work, You could do proper leaf shapes. You could do holly if you were doing a kind of wintry wreath. You could do, for some of our overseas friends, you could do maple leaves, or you could do something that is indigenous to your geography. So I'm going to make my way around here, putting in my little scribbly leaf type shapes. You can, honestly, I can get fabulously carried away with this. Let's make the browns look a bit more twig-like, shall we? And you can see it all building up. You can see how it's starting to come together. And if I take you back to the overhead camera, look at that. It looks really pretty, doesn't it? Oh, lovely. And a few more like that. I think I do need that dark green again because it's quite a nice rich colour. Let's extend some of the fronds. So we're sort of, in my head, it's got a few like pine needles coming out of it. And making it a bit bigger than it actually is. So you can see why I did maybe scribbles instead of leaf shapes, but you'll have more time than I've got. So you'll be able to do a much more careful and considered version. And then we're going to go back to our damp brush again. I use my hand to take the water off, but if you prefer to use a bit of kitchen roll or an old towel or something, then do that thing. And I'm going to use my brush, not all over, but just here and there to wet some of that pen. So you can see it all starts to blend together. I need to clean my brush off occasionally, otherwise it gets a bit clogged with one colour. And again, I'm not wetting all of it. I'm just wetting bits of it to kind of thicken it up so that it looks more wreath-like. And very quickly you can start to put that together, can't you? So let's dry that off. And this is your opportunity. If you have any questions about anything, or you haven't had the opportunity to tell me where you are yet, to stick it in the chat, just so that I know you're all still there. Right, let's give that a dry. Ah, my mum's in the room. Morning, Mum. I'll see you in a bit. There we go. I think that's dry. Again, the heat has just bent the card a little bit, so let's give it a flex to get it back to what it was. And then to finish it off, I'm going to add some holly berries. So I'm going to take my red felt tip pen. Now these could be kind of more autumnal, they could be orange, they could be green, it could be mistletoe, and you could go back in with a white gel pen or something similar. Make it your own. And then what I'm going to do is here and there add some extra berries over the top. I don't think I need to wet these at all. And maybe they need to be a bit bigger than I'm doing. But you can see how I build up the layers with the simplest of bits of equipment. So working our way around in here, let's pop some extras in. And do you know what? I think I'm pretty much done with that. I wonder if, let's go into the close-up. Yes, there you go. You can see it kind of come to life there. I think what I'm going to do, honestly, eternal faffer me, I'm going to extend some bits of my door and make a little bit more of the kind of in-betweeny panels that I drew in and put those in. Now, I can see a couple of comments coming in. Hazel is saying, I'm in Italy, so won't be able to do the card swap. Now she's volunteering as well. Hazel, I am very happy to do the card swap with you. If you get me your card, I don't want you to miss out. So get your card to me and I promise you that I will swap it and sort it out with you. I don't want you to miss out at all. I don't want anybody to miss out on this project. So no matter where you are in the world, I will get it to you, okay? Let's go back to the overhead, and then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that ATC done. You could write something along the bottom. If we were doing this ahead of Christmas, we could do this ahead of time, all those things. But there is ATC number 1 done. Now, what else do you need to do to this? What would be good is if on the back of your ATC, you wrote some information about yourself, if you're happy to. If you're not, just send it to me and I'll pass it on. But I think writing your name would be good. So you could put your name. You could put the media that you used. So we'll call this watercolour, I think. Let's call this watercolour. And you could put a greeting. So you could put, what should we put? Sending love to a fellow creative. And then if you want to, you can put all the details of how you get in touch. So what I would do if it was me, I would put the @ symbol, Ali Board Artist, because then if someone shares it on social media, they can tag you in it. Okay, so you can put some of that or all of that information in as you see fit. Okay, and then it also reminds me who's sending it. So that's grand, isn't it? That's the first ATC finished. Let's move on to our second one, shall we? Now I have drawn this one ahead of time, just simply because I wanted to get the jump on this so that you could see it created in the time that we have together. Petra is asking a question as well. I don't understand something. If I send from the Netherlands and I put a Dutch stamp on the back envelope, how can it be sent from the UK? Petra, if you're sending from outside of the UK, don't worry about, just send me an envelope with your address on it and I will sort out the postage, okay? Because it gets too complicated doing the backwards and forwards thing. So let me look at you. If you do, if you're outside of the UK and you would like me to send you an ATC in return, just send me the envelope with your address so I don't get it wrong, and I will sort the postage out myself, okay? And I will do the swap, don't worry. If you're in the UK, you can stamp it and you can do all those kind of things. But I promise you, if you're outside of the UK, because I don't want you to miss out, send it to me and I'll sort it out my end, okay? I hope that makes sense. Petra, stick it in the chat. Hazel as well, if you understand it. If not, just email me. Just email me and we'll sort it out between us, all right? So that's ali@learningtopaint.co.uk, all right? Lovely to have you with me, by the way. Lots of people saying that they've got to crack on with their dinner preparation. Go. You can catch up with this later, okay? Not a problem. Right, so let's tell you how we got to this one. So this is a bit of a doodle on my part. You might call it Zentangling. But it's not really proper Zentangling. This was me with my pencil, just kind of inventing a pattern on it, which I've drawn out in pencil, and I'm going to go back over in a second. Do a doodle. You can let your pencil go for a walk, take a line all the way around it. You could have a look at other people's Zentangling on YouTube. So Zentangle is spelt Zentangle. Okay, I know some of you out there are really good at it. This is a sort of generic pattern. It doesn't really say Christmas or spring or summer or Easter or anything. This was me prepping for this demonstration and just letting my pencil go for a walk, really. But you can change your mind with it when you do it. You can rub it out if you don't like it. But this is where your waterproof pen comes into play, because the first thing you're going to do is to go back over your pencil lines and ink them in, okay? Now, depending on the surface that you've got, will depend on the pressure that you need with your pen. Always a good idea to test if your pen is waterproof, okay? Because in a minute you'll see why I need mine to be waterproof. You don't want to do all of this work only to find that your pen is running and making a bit of a mess on your piece of paper. So don't set yourself up for disappointment. Make sure that it's waterproof. And how do you check that it's waterproof? You scribble it on the type of paper that you're about to use for your project. Let it dry and be absolutely sure that you do let it dry. You can always dry it with a heat gun, which is what I'm going to do with mine in a second. And then either spray it with a spray bottle or take a brush over the top of it. And if it runs, funnily enough, it's not waterproof. Now, you will do a much better job of this than I am doing, because I am rushing it because of the nature of this broadcast. So coming down here, let's do these. I think I was channeling a peacock feather. I don't really know why. I have painted a peacock for a class this year, but oh, I know why it was. You'll see why it was in a minute. I was trying to work out why I was channeling a peacock, but you'll see in a minute why my brain was all peacock feathery for the last ATC that we're doing together. Now, in case you are watching live, I'm going to be finishing this broadcast somewhere between 11:15 and 11 o'clock UK time. It's currently 10:30 here in the UK, just in case you need to organise your day or in case you need to put something off. And I've still got one more design of ATC to show you yet, because I wanted to give you plenty of ideas just in case you're stuck, because it's not easy sometimes, is it? You think to yourself, oh, I'd really fancy being creative today, but then it doesn't always happen, does it? Creativity isn't a switch that you can flick on and off. I wish it was, but you kind of have to. You need the right project, you need to be inspired, you need to have the equipment that you need, all of that stuff. Now let's put some circles in here, like a circle. It's a nice padding device for Zentangling. Stick some in here. I'm not particularly worried about going over my pencil lines because I'm going to rub them all out in a minute. Let's stick another circle in there and there and there. Oh, my pen starting to get hand cramp as well. Let's put one more in there. Like I said, you will do a much better job of this. If you've already got ideas about what you might do on your ATC and you are willing to share them, then stick them in the chat. Or if you're watching this on catch up, stick it in the comments, stick it on YouTube, send me an email, all of those kind of things. Share it on my social media, all of that sort of stuff. I'll be checking my social media later on today to see if any of you have had a go at this. But if you do have an idea and you think, oh, that's a good idea, I'd like to share that with everybody, then do it. I'd like to hear what ideas you have, or if you have taken part in an ATC project before. I know that some of you out there have taken part with me before, doing an ATC swap. Some of you have actually got ATCs that I've sent you this year from other creative people. And that's where I got the idea for this project from. Right, where are we going with this? It's a bit scrappy, Ali, but never mind. Oh, hand cramp. Anybody else get hand cramp? Is it just me? Last one. Then let's do this one over here. A few spirals. Again, you can make yours wildly more complicated and involved than I have. Coming around here like a spiral as well. Circles and spirals, and apparently peacock feathers are my thing at the moment. Let's go over here, but it could be a seed head, it could be an animal, all sorts of things. Right, let's give that a quick dry. Let's do that thing. Okay, and then let's rub out the pencil lines, just in case. Well, I did go over some of them a bit wildly, which I don't necessarily want to show through, and it sort of tidies everything up, neatens it all up, etc. So, oh yeah, I did do, some of these are a bit dodgy up here as well. Let's rub some of those out as well. As I keep saying, you'll do a better job than me. Now, I'm not going to get the opportunity to complete this one for you today, but you'll absolutely get the gist of it. So what I'm now going to do is use my felt tip pens to do some colouring in. What's not to like about that? Now, with the felt tip pens that are washable, you don't actually need to put an awful lot of colour in your section to get it to move. You can, of course, if you're not worried about using water and you want to use coloured pencil instead, then you could just shade them in, couldn't you? But if you like this technique of it looking slightly watercolory, then just putting a little bit of pen down is certainly all you're going to need. You might be doing yours in actual watercolour paints or acrylic paints or poster paints or something similar, but look, you can see how quickly you can put this together, and it's so manageable as well. You don't need a lot of space, you don't need a lot of equipment. If you have small people in your life, you can pinch their felt tip pens off them. They're not going to need them at the moment. They've got too many other exciting things going on. So you can squirrel those away, use those. You might think of using watercolour pencils. If you've got those, they're good fun to use as well. Excuse me. But very, very quickly, you can get some interesting patterns created, and it's really rather relaxing sitting with a black and white drawing and then using some colours to blend it in. I'll do a bit more of mine and then we'll move on to the final project that I've got in store with you, because I think I've got just about enough time to share it with you. So let's smudge these in, going around the top, getting those in, coming up and around. So can you see how quickly, and actually don't really need to colour everything in if you don't want to. You could, let's do the background really, really quickly. And let's do the background in a colour that's going to be easy to blend. So I'll take my felt tip pen. Don't know why I was attracted to yellow today. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes you just don't know why you're doing something. Sometimes you work on instinct. And you don't need to have done a lot of creative projects to work on instinct. It can just be your favourite colours, or colours that you like to wear, or colours that you have around your house. However it is. So let's get that yellow blended in. So you can cover big areas with the felt tip pens too. Let's get that blended in and down and around. There we go. Look at that. How thrilled would you be if somebody sent you one of these in the post? I'd be really chuffed. In fact, I've had some ATCs sent to me this year, and it's been such a lovely thing to do. So there you go. We have the second of our ATCs. Now, who have I missed? The lovely Lauren in South Africa. Thank you very much for taking the time. You're all scattered all over the world today. It's really amazing. Thank you so much. I feel so honoured to have you all here. There's lots of you in the virtual room as well. So let's go back up to that overhead camera. So there's the little Zentangled one. And here is the door wreath one. So we've got 2 down already. Now for the last one, which, if you know my work, is much more an Ali board creation. Okay. Now, am I going to start with I think I am going to start with no, I'm not going to start with a blank. I'm going to do something else. Now, if you are a hoarder like me, you will have bits of stuff kicking around. You will have bits of collage material or wrapping paper or interesting textures or packaging materials or anything that you go, ooh, that looks nice. And you put it in that box, or in my case, boxes, because you think, oh, I'll use this another day. If you are a watercolourist or a painter, then you will have lots of these, which is scraps of old paintings. Now look to see why I was... Can you see now why I was doing peacock feathers? I was trying to work out why that was. And so I've got bits of paintings here that I use for scrap. That, in actual fact, is double-sided because I had done a print on one side and I turned it over and used it for something else. So this is absolutely the point where you can get all of those scraps of stuff out and create an ATC out of them. So I'm going to start with this one, and like I said, slightly prepared, ready. You can cut with scissors. I'm going to cut with a knife, just because that's what I'm used to. And so I'm going back to cutting out my 2.5 by 3.5 or my 64 by 89 millimeter size. If you've come into this broadcast kind of halfway through, just pop back to the beginning and I'll explain more about the sizes and why they are what they are. Yes, a couple of you saying that you're not surprised I have hand cramp. Trying to do things at breakneck speed is usually the case. So, look at that little number. How exciting is that? And that, you could just send that, to be honest. You could just cut out a little bit of an old painting and there's your ATC and write your details on the back and job's done. To be honest, I quite like that on its own. But let's do the thing that I was going to do with you, which is to use old paintings to layer up. Okay, so let's stick that to one side. And then, I don't know why, but I fancied doing a star. I fancied cutting out a star. Maybe I'm channeling Christmas, who knows. And I was playing about with easy ways to create a star because they're not the simplest shape to do. I've put my pencil down and now I can't find it. There it is. So I was sort of playing around trying to do a 5-pointed star and failing abysmally. And then I remembered something that somebody taught me once about how to create a 5-pointed star. So you start at the top, in the middle, you go down to the left, across to the right, over to the left, down to the right, and up to the top. And there is your 5-pointed star. Shall I do that one more time for you? It's the simplest thing ever, but you need to sort of learn the pattern. So start in the top middle, bottom left, over to the right, over to the left, bottom right, join it up at the top. Okay, there's your 5-pointed star. Now, I think those are going to be too big. So here's one that I have created earlier. And what I did was I drew it out freehand and then I've sort of exaggerated the shape of it. And I've done it on the back so that I am pleasantly surprised by whatever comes through at the front. And I'm going to cut it out. Like I said, you could cut with scissors if you prefer. I'm a bit of a danger to myself with a craft knife. So let's hope this all ends well. Scissors, much less of a nightmare. So coming around, I've got a cutting mat underneath, but you could use an old bit of card, anything to just save the surface that you're cutting on it. Don't do it on your best dining room table or any of that stuff. Nearly there. So we'll do that over here. One more swipe up here to the top. You'll notice that I'm cutting away from my star just in case my knife slips and I make a bit of a boob. Coming down here, that should join it up, and I'm hoping, yeah, look at that. It will just fall through. Oh, look. That's rather lovely, isn't it? Like that. Look how that shows out. I mean, I'd love to say that I did that on purpose, but that's just fortuitous. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut myself a little bit of a spacer as well. You'll see what I need this for in a second. So just a little square of paper. And then the last one I'm going to do, am I going to use this as well? Do I want to use that? Yeah, I think I do. Let's use this top corner. Where's my pencil gone? Oh, me and that pencil today, we're eluding each other, aren't we? So that same lid that I used earlier, you can play around with the scale of it. I am going to use scissors for this one because cutting circles out with a knife is quite tricky. And then coming around here. Ooh, la 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 la. Turn the paper, not the scissors. Turn the paper, not the scissors. And then you get a much nicer line. Coming around, I'm going to need to disengage it from the rest of it. And coming down here. Oh, I can't cut and talk at the same time. Right, we're nearly there. We're kind of on the home straight now. How's that circle looking? Oh, that's nice, isn't it? I quite like that. With maybe that on top of it. That looks quite nice. But one more thing I want to do, and the last thing I want to do, is to cut out a little kind of banner for the bottom. And then what do we want? Oh, actually, no, I don't want it out of white. I want it out of something a bit more textured. Let's cut it out of this. See, I know what I'm doing in my head. You're just going to have to come along with me for the ride for this last one. So I've got a little bit of old painting here. And then I think what I want to happen is I want it to have a bit of a point on it, like that. Yeah, that'll work. And if I put that up there, maybe I'll put this one coming in this side. And then let's write a word on this. Yes, absolutely. Jilly is saying for a 6-pointed star, 2 triangles. Yeah, so if you don't want a 5-pointed star, you can do that style of construction as well. Much easier, much kind of less haphazard as well. Thank you, Jilly, for that. And then on here, I need to think of a word that if I sent this ATC to somebody, it might encourage them. So I think I'm going to use the word create. So let's write on here. Let's CREATE. And then if I go back into my letters, I can use a few mechanics of thickening up some parts of the letter to make them a bit more creative. Let's do this. And then another thing in my whole loving circles thing, let's pop some dots on the end of each letter. Then hopefully that'll make for a nice kind of quirky font. There we go. That's all good, isn't it? So now to construct it and put it together. Where did I put that little bit of, oh goodness me. There it is, that little bit of card as a spacer. So first thing I'm going to say, this is just a normal stick glue. This is nothing fancy. If you've got really good paper crafting glues, then you could do that thing. But if you haven't, stick glue will be fine. So let's pop that up in that corner. Then let's get glue all over our fingers to create a bit of a spacer. Then we can pop the star over the top. Let's have it at a jaunty angle so it's a little bit, you can see it's kind of casting a shadow. And then let's stick this one in down here, and then I can write my details on the back, and then somebody can get that ATC. So here is your wreath, and I'm going to fess up for the last part of my broadcast. I had 3 bits of watercolour paper cut out ready, and what did I do? I used the same one. So there's my wreath, there's my Zentangle, double-sided. Hey, it's maybe a new thing that we create double-sided ATCs. But there, for the most part, are the ideas for your projects. And I'm going to take you through just the last few details of how to get these to me so that we can do a lovely swap. So to remind you, you need to go back to my website. Let's show you that address, www.learningtopaint.co.uk. And when you get there, from the menu, it will say, in the drop-down menu, it will say Learning to Paint, and you need the Christmas Day broadcast, or go back to wherever you found this in the first place. And on there, you'll find all the resources. You'll find this recording as well, and you'll find the details of how to get your ATC to me. Now, you don't have to send me one. You really, really don't. This was always designed as a project that you could just take your mind off of other things, do something small and be creative on a busy day like today, or a busy holiday like the one we're currently experiencing. If you do want to send it to me and you'd like to be sent one in return, then please include a self-addressed envelope, just so that I get your address right. And what I'll do is I'll take your ATC and I will swap it with somebody else's, and then I will send you that in the post. If you are in the UK, please pop whatever rate of postage you would like onto your envelope. If you're outside of the UK, stick your address on it so that I've got it right, and I will sort the postage out for you, okay? And then we can do this nice swap. And if you have other creative people in your life and you think, wow, I don't think they know about this. So ATC, just to go back over it again, it stands for Artist Trading Card, okay? And if you put that into Wikipedia, you can actually read a lot more about it. Where did I get to? Yes, if you think that you know of somebody who doesn't know about this project, or you think would like to get involved, or maybe you want to do a swap between your friends, it doesn't have to be through me, sort it out yourself. It's just a lovely way. So many people will tell you, and if you are in the chat right now and you've been part of my ATC project before, just tell people how lovely it is to receive one of those cards, because it is awesome. It's so lovely to be able to create something small, post it out to somebody, and then you sort of wait with anticipation for getting your little work of art back. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you've never done one before, or if you are just at the beginning of your art journey, or if you're right at the end of it and you've been painting for years and years and years. There's no hierarchy going on in this. It's just to reach out to somebody. You might absolutely make somebody's day with this. They might be having a really tough day and they'll get an envelope and they think, hang on a minute, that's my writing on it. Does that mean I've got an ATC for somebody? Open it up and there's that lovely little creation. People in the chat saying that they have received ATCs from others around the world, and it is such a lovely thing to do. If you like to do social media, and you'd like me to see your ATC. So Sheena's just saying, I love ATC making and receiving them. Yes, Sheena, you have been part of my project, haven't you? If you are on social media, I can understand if you're watching live today that you might want to avoid social media, but for future reference, you can find me wherever at Ali Board Artist. And just tag me in it. So if you've been creative today, I love to see what you've done, but I might not get to see it unless you tag me in. So just pop that. You can see it in the up there, look, at Ali Board Artist across every platform, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere that you get your best socials from. So I'm going to pop the website up as well so that you can remind yourself of where to go. You might already be on the page, which if you are, fantastic. Now it's time for me to sign off. It's time for me to go and find my family and spend some time with them today. If you are not celebrating Christmas, please do just have a lovely, peaceful day today. No matter how you are celebrating or not celebrating, if you're struggling today, I hope that this project gives you a little bit of light. That was always my wish for this broadcast. Please do have the happiest of holidays, a very, very peaceful change from 2023 till 2024. I will see you in the new year when I will be back. Take lots of care, won't you? Sending love to you all and to your families, and I will catch up with you very soon. Bye-bye, lovely people.